It's me, it's Queen Osset Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. All right, guys, so I got a message from a woman, and she said something to me that was very, very interesting. She said she is getting into spirituality. Now, mind you, she didn't specifically say what kind. She just said she was learning more about spirituality, and she said that she got some resistance from her closest friends. So when she asked them to, be honest with her, like, why are you acting shady? They said that they thought that she would change and be boring now that she had gotten into spirituality. So she didn't tell me what form, if it was Christianity or Wicca or Buddhism. She just said overall arc of spirituality. So what I'm going to say is this. When a person comes into spirituality, a lot of people do expect you to become boring because they think of you as like going to become one of those churchy religious people that's always, spitting Bible quotes at them. That's what they expect. They expect you to become one of those annoying people. And some people will. Some people will go into certain faiths and become one of those people who's always trying to convert you, always trying to get you to go to church with them, always trying to get you to see God the way they see God. One of those basically controlling, judgmental people. And you're not going to want to have fun anymore. You're not going to want to go to the movies or drink or smoke or anything like that. You're going to just want to go to church and read your Bible. And some of them are going to become like that because some people, that's how they internalize it. And if you are, let's say, in a Christian group or a Muslim group, you're not supposed to be drinking. You're not supposed to be smoking. You're not supposed to be partying. You're not supposed to be doing any of that kind of stuff. You're supposed to be being pious, reading your books, reading spirituality, things along those lines. But that doesn't mean you have to be boring. You don't need alcohol and drugs and music and dancing to have a good time. You can go to museums. You can go to workshops. You can go to have coffee at the cafe with your friends and, Starbucks or something like that, It's other things you can do that don't involve that. So if people assume that you're going to be boring, it's because they're assuming you're no longer going to want to do the things y'all used to do together. So if you used to dance with them and drink with them and smoke with them, they're thinking, oh, you're not going to be able to do that anymore. And they're right. And if you didn't do that before and y'all just maybe, let's say, hung out and maybe y'all just went to clubs sometimes, they're thinking that the things you guys used to do, you're not going to be able to do anymore. And some of those things you might not be able to do anymore. If you become a pagan like me, I can still drink in moderation. I can still go to parties. I can still have fun. It depends on what form of spirituality they take on. You see? So depending upon that, that's going to answer the question. But like I said, you don't need those things to have a good time. Maybe it means that you and your friends have to now do new things to have a good time. So yeah, I'm not smoking no more. I'm not drinking no more. But we can go to the museum. We can go to a light show. We can go to a presentation. We can go to a music festival. I mean, it's a whole bunch of stuff that you can do without doing the stuff you used to do before. You can go to a Renaissance fair. You can go to a theme park. I mean, I could make a list of like 1,000 things, You can go to one of those painting parties. Some of them have alcohol and some of them don't. So there's a lot of different things you can do. You just have to now find things to do together that don't involve whatever it is you can't do anymore. And you have to also be responsible. You're coming into a new spiritual awareness. The people that you're friends with may not want to hear it. They may not want to be involved. And that's okay. They have a right to find their own forms of spirituality. So I would say the only mistake that some people make is that they get into it and love it and then want everybody else to come into it. All I would say is that part is not fair. Don't impose your spiritual beliefs on other people unless they ask. If people ask me about Maat, I tell them. You know, people ask me about spirituality, I tell them, but I don't impose it on them. I don't be like, hey, can I tell you the truth about Bast? Do you want to hear about my goddess and savior all set? People don't want that. They want to find God, goddess, whoever themselves, unless of course they ask you for the information. So I would say that's one part of it. Back off. Let your friends do them as far as that's concerned. But when you're together, it doesn't mean they have to change. It just means that your activities together may change. Maybe now you'll go shopping together instead of going to the bar together. There's a whole bunch of things to do other than that. So that's what people think. People think that you're going to become, one of those kinds of people, and that's absolutely not the case. Likewise, you have to take it into account that you may need to make new friends, because as you come into a new spiritual understanding, some of your friends might not go along with the new change. You're going to change vibrationally. If you get into, let's say for instance, you start practicing Buddhism, you start going to, the talks, you start meditating every day, you're going to change. Who you were and who you're going to be is not going to be the same person. And generally, for some of us, it's for the better, and some of us is not. Because if you become, like I said, if you become Buddhist and you start meditating and going listening to talks and trying to be a better person, you're going to be a better person. But if you're going to these talks and coming back and preaching to your friends about their lack of morality, then you're not going to be a better person. It depends on how you internalize it. So if you are a better person, you're going to be vibrating in a different kind of way, and you're probably going to attract people that are different as well. So you're probably going to take in some new friends as well. And if your old friends don't want to go along with the vibrational shift, that's okay, because some of them will not. When I started bettering myself, I lost a lot of people. A lot of people I kicked to the curb because I just did not want the influence in my life anymore. I didn't want the shit they were doing around me. I didn't want to do it no more, and I didn't want them around me doing that shit no more. So for a lot of you, you're going to change. So you're not going to want certain things around you, and some people not going to be feeling your new vibration. And that's okay. That is A-okay. They can go do them while you go do you. So no, you don't have to become boring, but a lot of things are going to change, and it's going to depend on a lot of factors who and what chooses to make the cut. Okay? And don't be afraid to lose people. It's called impermanence. Remember we talked about that before? Impermanence and letting go. So if people decide that the new you is not the you they want to be around, that's fine. They can go hang with somebody else. It's not going to end the world. But my thing is that some people, that's going to be very problematic for them, and they're going to have a hard time letting go. And that is something that a lot of us go through when we come into spirituality. Okay? So no, you don't have to be boring, but you're going to have to find some other fun things to do. Like I said before, if you're a Christian, you're not supposed to be drinking, you're not supposed to be smoking. So you need to find sober activities to do. And it's a lot of them. It's a lot of them. It's poetry readings at bookstores. When you start to look online, look on Groupon, look at meetup.com, go to Christian events. Christians have all kinds of events. So you can go hang out with them and do like the gospel choirs. They go on little excursions and trips together. Your church might be doing stuff. It's all kinds of stuff for you to do. So your activities will change, but there is fun things for you to do. If you're somebody like me, like I said, I'm a pagan, I can pretty much do whatever I want. So if I want to go to a party and have a few drinks, that's fine. As long as I'm not harming anybody, I'm holding on to my vows, which is like, don't hurt people, don't steal things, the 42 laws of Maat. For any of you who are familiar, those are my vows, the 42 laws of Maat. You can Google it and you'll see versions of it. It's been translated a lot of times, and sometimes it looks different than others. Sometimes it looks like, what is this, but there are different versions of it, and I'll put a link to it underneath here so you can see the one that I actually use. And as long as I don't break my vows, I can have a good time. So it just depends on what spirituality it is, and the bottom line is that it's going to change. It's going to vary from system to system. Okay. All right, guys, it's time for me to get going. So thank you for your question. Thank you guys for being here. Please come back soon because I have so much more to say. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and pass it on to somebody else who's wondering about this. Likewise, I'm going to leave all my contact information underneath this video in case you want to get a reading, in case you have a question for me, a question for Asking Aquarius, or if you want to talk or whatever. All my information to be underneath this video. See you guys later.